Hello and welcome back. Now in the last video we installed the Python environment and we also set up the environment for Power BI. Now next I like to actually start using the Python visual just to explore how to use Python in Power BI. So let's check that. Let's click on this option here and then you probably see a window like that which asks you simply to enable the script visuals. So you can see there might be security or privacy risks and that is why you first need to enable it. So click on this and enable it and then you should see here a little Python template and also the Python script editor. Now so far there is nothing for us to do, so I can't enter any code in here, and the reason for this is because we have not added any of the fields into the value area here. So you also can read it here, drag fields into the values area in the visualization pane to start scripting. So you first need to drag fields inside. So if I go to, let's say, my orders table here and I want to use numerical fields. So let's say I'm using the amount, I can drag this into the values and then I will use another one, let's say with the sales by default, also track this inside like that and we're good to go. And you also see that the window down there has changed. Now let me just close this for now, this warning here, and say the following code to create a data frame. So here, so we're the keyword, which means that in Python and here in Power BI is working with pandas data frames, and you see that their duplicate rows are removed. And it's always executed and acts as a preamble for your script. So these two lines here, like data sets is equal to pandas.data frame in this case. Of the two columns we have given it, and also data set drop duplicates. So those two lines will be in this case executed automatically, we don't have to write them. So data frame gets created and two big values gets dropped based on the fields we drop in this values area here. And now we can here insert some code. So if I go to online and say I'd like to, let's say here, first import a library, let's say import matplotlib.pyplot. So PLT is just an abbreviation here. Now let me just, let's auto completion get rid of it. Okay, like that. And then also say we'd like to import Seaborn, it's also a plotting library in Python, so import Seaborn as SNS. Again, this is an abbreviation we can use and later on. And let's also try to import pandas for now as PD and abbreviation. Let's see whether the code gets executed correctly. You can do this if you hover over this play here, this run script option, if you take it. Let's try to see and can't display the visuals. Okay, let's just see the details and then see, and here we can see there's a module not found error. Okay, that is why at the beginning I just want to import the modules and don't visualize anything, because here in the error message it gives us a hint that the modules are currently not available. So remember, we have created a virtual environment, however we have not installed any packages so far. So that is why here we are currently complaining that Matplotlib as an instance is not available in our current environment. So let's go back to our navigator. I haven't closed it yet. In case you have closed it, simply reopen and Aconda again, then you should still be in your base environment, and here it gives us a hint how to activate the Power BI Python environment you have created. So you can type in conda activate and then the environment name, in my case it's Power BI for Python. And if you run this, so conda activate Power BI for Python, if I run this now, you should see not base anymore in those curly braces here in this parenthesis, sorry, you should see here the name of your environment. This means that now here we are in the environment we have created for Power BI, and here we can install packages. Now those packages can be installed either by a conda or by a pip. Those are the options you have, so you can run conda install and then the package name, or you can write pip install and then the package name. So for me, I most often go with pip. My experience tells me that this is the better option for me, but just do it the way you want it. So either use conda or pip and try to install it. So in our case, let's try installing the three libraries I've actually mentioned there. Let's try to install Matplotlib, Seaborn and pandas. So if I do that as an example, if I try pip install pandas and I run this, then you see that we are collecting the data and it's downloading all the relevant information for the package from the internet and installing those packages. So this might take a little bit of time and we're good to go. So you see that also next to pandas and all those modules relevant for pandas, also these additional modules was mentioned here, so I'm just numpy python data till and so on. So these are simply comparable packages to pandas which are also required and will be installed automatically for you. And as a set, I also like to install Seaborn and Matplotlib, so I use pip install and then Seaborn, or let's actually start with Matplotlib. I run this and also this package gets downloaded and installed in the specific environment we currently in. And finally I like to install Seaborn, so I use pip install, but as a set can also try out conda write conda install. Let's say in case I stick to pip install and then Seaborn. So for now these are the three libraries I want to use at the beginning. So let me run this as final one and also install this, so download it from the web and install it, and you can see there are also additional packages like SciPy in this case, which is scientific Python, and it's also installed correctly and now it's also available here in the environment. So let's go back to Power BI, take the visual one more time. Let's just see, let's run this. Okay, we still don't get any visual here, that's clear because so far we only imported the libraries, but let's actually go back to the C detail now. And you see now the error message is different because here it just tells us that currently we have no image created. So the Python code didn't result in creation of any visuals. Make sure your Python script results in a plot to the Python default device. So that's totally fine, but we don't get an issue considering the packages we've installed anymore. So all those packages are now available in the Power BI for Python environment, which we use in Power BI. So far so good. And now we simply need to write a little bit of code. So you can write it in here and say, let's say SNS, which we imported here as Seaborn. And let's plot something, say we'd like to plot, let's say a joint plot, and then we define the x value, x is equal to, now put it in quotes, sales. So remember, a pandas data frame gets automatically created and the pandas data frame currently has two columns, which is amount on sales. The reason for this is because we have those two, in this case those two columns in the valley section here. If you want to add additional columns to the pandas data frame, simply drag the fields inside. So the excess sales, then the y in this case to create our scatter plot here, so comma, and then the y is equal to your amounts, also put it in quotes, and now and the data itself, data is equal to, in our case it's the data set. So with Seaborn you have the option to either refer for the x and the y by dataset.column name, or you simply only use the column names, then they use this additional keyword data and point to specific data set you have. And the reason why I'm using data set here is because data set is the name which is automatically created for the data frame for the columns we use. Finally I go in here and say plt.show as command and to parenthesis, and now let's actually run the script plus the run button here, and we'll see that now we have here a new visual created, which is this one, which contains the amount as well as the sales. So the sales is on the x-axis, the amount is on the y-axis, and only one dot is created. So why is that? The reason for this is, remember what Power BI does automatically, it's summarizing the data. So if you want to create a scalar plot using the joint option here, so the joint plot from Seaborn, you also need to disaggregate the data. That means if you go to the numerical fields in here like amount and sales, you can click on the field itself and say I don't want to summarize it. So if you do this, then instead of only getting 1 point, which is the total sum of the amount, what you get instead is each amount in the data set, so each row amount. So let's untick the don't summarize here, tick the don't summarize here, and also do the same for the sales. Right click here and say don't summarize, like that. And now you see a plot which makes more sense, right? So you can see here a dot for each this case row in the data set and the summarization, and also here the distribution for the dots. For the sales compared to the amount on the side in here. That's what basically is the joint plot doing here. Let me just copy this here and let me go to, in this case, my Jupyter notebook, because here I can zoom in and simply paste it inside. Okay. So just in case it was not easy to spot because it wasn't a little too small on your screen. Now you should see the code. It's quite simple. We only imported the libraries here. We created the joint plot for X for Y sales and amount referring to the data set, and then we used the plt.show command to display it. This is how you can use Python visuals in Power. Yeah, this is just the first example for that.